What's happening, y'all? I'm back once again to do some comic book reviews, which has been about a good month since I've done any of them. Um, been busy with a lot of crap, but figure I'd go ahead and just take and throw out my favorite books that have come out within the last couple of weeks. Some are a little more disappointing than the others, but we'll get to that shortly. First off, let's go ahead and get this one out of the way. Batman number 11. The finale of the Court of Owls. I thought it was supposed to be the Night of Owls, but whatever. It's over with, supposedly. This is Bruce facing off with a fella who claims to be his brother, Thomas Wayne Jr. It's actually the Lincoln March fella, and he's dressed up in an owl costume, and him and Batman are fighting all over Gotham. And I guess with it being the epic finale, we're supposed to be making it more epic by having them fight through buildings and even on the back of an airplane, which is taking off. And the whole while this is going on, Lincoln's just running his mouth, monologuing about how that he set up everything, and you know how much that he supposedly couldn't stand Bruce being his brother. The entire saga that was built up from issue 1 has been pretty damn good. And then we kind of just get this little last piece of the puzzle. You know, it's terrific stuff all the way through, but then I hate when we get these kind of stories to where it just ends like it does. We don't really get the answers that we were looking for, and we don't even know if this guy is, you know, dead or alive at the end of the stuff. So it's kind of a letdown, but I will say the backup feature at the end of this issue was pretty good, so that's at least something to get over besides having the disappointing finale of this series, but is what it is. Next up is Swamp Thing number 11. Snyder also on this one. Alright, so after the rather mediocre last issue that we had, Alec comes back and he's ready to take on Arcane. Arcane's come up ready to grab Abigail, and he's also shown just how much more of a threat that he is now that he is sort of an avatar of the Rot himself. And also we get the return of the Unmen in this issue, which is pretty awesome. Not really going to say too much about this. We got Marco Rudy back on the art this time. And there's a very interesting cliffhanger which leads off to the Swamp Thing Animal Man crossover, which is now just getting ready to make it official. This is a good issue. It's much better than the last one, so, you know, hopefully we can hurry up and get through the setup stuff and finally get to the damn Rot World story, so there is that. Moving along to Marvel now. Did not review issue 7 of Avengers vs. X-Men, but I will say that Fraction, he did okay for it. And much as I hate to say it, I actually enjoyed Fraction's take on this more than I did Bendis writing this issue. We have Phoenix-possessed Namor in this issue actually getting ready to launch an attack on Wakanda. And we're finding out that the Phoenix 5 is not exactly as organized as we like to think it is. Namor actually makes a rogue move, and Cyclops is damn mad about this. Meanwhile, all this is going on. The attack on Wakanda is commencing, and the Avengers are rushing off over there to give T'Challa a hand with that. And Tony Stark has finagled with his contraption a little bit, and he's going to find a way to be able to take out, or at least try and figure out a way to take out Namor. Does he succeed with this? Well, you're just going to have to read it and find out. To me, it's a little bit disappointing. Hopefully, if Brubacher or Jason Aaron gets another turn on this, this can pick up a little bit more. And it's starting to kind of lead to the end of the second act, which is pretty good. I've been enjoying this event a little bit more than I thought I would be after issue 6. But this slightly was a disappointment here, so hopefully the second act can at least conclude with something good should Brubacher or Jason Aaron take over. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. Here's something that don't disappoint, thankfully. Daredevil, number 15. So when we last left Matt, in that very precarious position of him thinking that he had actually made it out of Latveria, but it turns out that he didn't. He's actually being held in a hospital ward, and he's, what was it? Yeah, they're trying to figure out exactly, figure out where the information is that he got on the disc that he had in his possession. And this particular Lieutenant of Von Dooms is trying to extrapolate information from him. And we find out that Matt's senses are not entirely as dead as we thought. There is a residual of something that allows him to be able to see in some ways. And he tries to make another break for it. And what happens with the tail end of this issue, I will say the Avengers do manage to come to his rescue in this, however, but there's yet another problem present in this, which is even worse off than what Matt was left at the end of last issue. This has been damn good thus far. I have not found the series slowing down in any sense, and meanwhile, I don't think we quite addressed this in here as much as I would have liked, but the matter of Foggy still digging deeper into Matt's past and finding out just how valid his sanity is, I smell bad stuff a-coming. The cracks are starting to show in this new Daredevil, and it's terrific. Mark Waid, don't stop what you're doing, man. Definitely pick up this issue. Next up, I stepped out and picked this up on a whim. I had known Chris, the Mount Vernon kid, had been talking about this one because he's a big Miss Marvel fan. So I finally broke down and said, you know what, I'm going to give this a try. So I tried Captain Marvel issue 1. This is my pick of the week, I guess you could say, mostly, or I guess you could say pick for the last couple of weeks. We have Kelly Sue DeConnick, who I am not familiar with much, who is writing this issue, and we have artwork by a Dexter Soy. Dexter Soy is a little bit of a cross between J.H. Williams III and some of the watercolor issues, or some of the watercolor illustrations that I haven't seen in a comic probably since some of the old Elektra issues that I read from the 80s. This is the art here. We open up with Carol in the new Captain Marvel costume, and her and Captain America are throwing down with the Absorbing Man. And this issue goes a lot of places I didn't expect it to go. The art in here is just outstanding, and within the first issue we cover how hesitant Carol is about taking up the mantle at Captain America's insistence. And it's just some really good stuff going on in here. There's a very hilarious scene of her doing some sparring with Spider-Man, which is pretty funny, and also a little bit of a touching subject with her and a woman who she knows, just kind of setting up for where she's going, and kind of, mostly this is a transition issue of just setting up her being in this new costume, but it is very well done for a first issue. I'm not going to spoil too much about it, but it must be read to be enjoyed. This is mostly a little bit of action at the beginning and a lot of character expository for the remainder of this issue, but it is good stuff. I'm impressed with this, first off. I absolutely highly recommend picking up this issue of Captain Marvel. You will not be disappointed, and hopefully this new female hero, which has been brought back into the forefront of Marvel, can continue to, maybe push the idea of a female hero being taken more seriously. With Marvel and DC doing that whole anything you can do, I can do better. Hopefully DC can take some lessons from this right here. Moving on to my X-books. I only have 2 of them. Peter David's X-Factor number 240. It's a good idea not to spoil too much of the X-Factor. I will say, I haven't read an issue of X-Factor since about a month ago when I had that really good issue with Rain deciding to go after her child. This issue is completely 80% focused on Layla Miller. The clock is very symbolically used on the cover because she's in a race against time to stop something from happening. And kind of what we're seeing in this issue is mostly a split screen of one side of what may happen if something happens and what won't happen if something happens. And this is just absolutely terrific stuff. I will say, we also get a little bit of how Guido and Monet's date is going in this issue. I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's damn sure to be had some laughs with it. And the ending of this issue is... whoa. Whoa. I absolutely enjoyed this issue. I didn't think I would say that, but David managed to outdo himself with this issue. You know, the issue that he wrote where Monet decided to go after her child, I thought was a very good issue. I would have picked it as one of my favorite issues of this year. I may still hold it to that, but this damn sure is much better than that. Do yourselves a favor and pick this Joker up. This is really good stuff. And finally, let's conclude this on a rather bloody note. Uncanny X-Force number 27. They forgot to include on here that somebody dies in this issue. And with Marvel spoiling the covers, you can kind of tell this happens. We got a whole bunch of people here. We got the Blob, we got Mystique, we got Sabretooth, we have the Shadow King in his human form, and we have the Skinless Man all together. So, after Wolverine and Nightcrawler were rescued by Deadpool from the robot building factory, or build your own assassin factory, we were kind of dwelling a little bit on the fallout of the relationship in between Psylocke and Jean-Paul. While this is going on, apparently we're come to find out that the Psylocke that he was spending time with was not Psylocke. In fact, slight spoiler, this was Mystique that was with him. And he basically has a whole bunch of people show up and whoop his ass. And then we get somebody else pulled out, and then we get somebody else pulled out, and things are just absolutely going crazy in this issue, because you'd be surprised at who shows up. I mean, we got Sabretooth, we got the Blob, we got the Shadow King, and then, you know, somebody else shows up, and I'm like, whoa, and then there's another person who shows up who's, like, masterminding this thing, and I'm like, what? But it's a crazy issue, but it's good, and the way that it sets up for the next one is, oh my god. Whew. I haven't enjoyed X-Force this much since the Dark Angel saga was going on last year, and this is kind of shaping out to be another outstanding story from this. If you're not reading this, I go on raving about this series. I think you're missing out, but this is absolutely good. And that does it for my comic reviews, so apologize for not being around that much, and if you get a chance, go out and check out some of the stuff. I would absolutely recommend it, or at least for the stuff that I did glean pretty good. And until next time, I will catch you guys later on, so peace.